What the fuck is up, gamers? It's your boy the Goons, and we are back for episode number 24, Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney, and we need Miss Andrews to testify to the court about her guitar case. It's not even hers, it's Mr. Juan Carita's. So let's go ahead and get her to testify and see what bullshit we can call her out on.
I don't remember too clearly because I was a bit dazed. I suppose I must have opened the guitar case after I knocked the vase over. It's not a big deal though, right? The case was empty after all. As for why I opened the case, even I didn't know.
Yeah, alright. So I present the guitar case against any statement but the first. I don't even know what these clowns are saying. I'm like, damn, my head look big as hell. Damn. Damn. So, not that one. But here. I present the guitar case. Right there. Objection! There's no way you were the one who opened the guitar case.
Why would you say that?
It's elementary, my dear. Alright, asshole. Because the only fingerprints on the case were those of the victim.
What is it, Miss Andrews?
You shouldn't assume that I must have left prints just because I touched the case.
What do you mean?
What if I were to tell you that I was wearing gloves at the time?
Gloves? But why would you be wearing gloves at the time?
It was the night of the award ceremony, so of course I dressed up for the occasion. Yes, now I remember, I was almost certain I was wearing a pair of thin gloves.
I see. Well, Mr. Wright, it seems like the witness was wearing gloves.
Yeah, that's weird as fuck. It's really weird. You're wearing gloves. Isn't that a little strange?
Why is that strange? Do you have something that would prove I was not wearing gloves?
Yeah, I do! Your fucking fingerprints on the glass, dick shit. I have your proof right here. This wine glass.
The wine glass?
You left your fingerprints very clearly on this wine glass. Even if you took your gloves off when you poured yourself this glass of juice, wouldn't you think it was just a little strange? That you put your gloves back on just to open the guitar case? She gonna stand up too. She gonna look like an early 2000s baddie.
Order! Order! Order!
Looks like you hit the nail on the head this time.
What do you mean?
I believe that guitar case plays a very important role here.
But it's just an empty case.
I wonder if it really was empty, though.
But the guitar, the bright red guitar was at the studio.
Phoenix, drop all of your presumptions. What was in the guitar case was not the bright red guitar.
You don't mean it was a bright white guitar? Wait, that's not right either.
I admit it would be unnatural for someone to do that. So the witness was not wearing gloves despite the fact on the case.
Your Honor, this is obviously the defense's usual misdirection tactic at work. Steer the court towards an unrelated topic and lull us all into his misguided objection! No, Your Honor. No. Please recall that Ms. Andrews had testified that the vase fell onto the guitar case, which means that the case was closed when the crime took place. However, it is wide open in the photo of this crime scene. I'm sure this guitar case had some relation to the murder. Objection! If you're so sure, Wright, then I'm sure you can somehow substantiate your outrageous claims, correct? Please enlighten us as to why the guitar case had anything to do at all with this murder.
Can you do that, Mr. Wright?
Well, let's suppose for a second that the bright red guitar was not the only thing that could have been in the case.
The bright red guitar not being the only thing? You don't mean to suggest it was a black guitar?
So you intend to push your theory the case was not empty, is that it, right? I wouldn't say something I didn't intend to prove. Deflate that head of yours. You haven't proven anything yet. Now then, let's have it. What was inside the case at the time of the murder? What?
This is a photograph.
Yeah, but what's important is what's in the photograph, Your Honor.
In this picture?
Doesn't take a genius to see what I mean. What I'm proposing is... Inside the guitar case was the Nickel Samurai, the hero's very own costume. What?
Mr. Wright, explain yourself!
Right, are you saying that the witness opened the guitar case to take out a costume? What insane point would there be to do something like that? That insane point would be to wear the costume, of course. Miss Andrews put it on to hide her identity so she could make her escape. After all, you couldn't let anyone see you leave, could you, Miss Andrews?
Oh,
I refuse to accept your theory. Do you have anything to support such a preposterous idea? Just outside the door was an investigative photographer who was starving for a big scoop. And in the end, she managed to get this shot, correct?
You mean this photo? Order! Looks like we've wandered into quite another mess again, haven't we?
Nice job, Phoenix.
Well, you know my strategy. Speak first, think later.
So the real murderer was inside of the costume?
Objection. Wait 1 second, Your Honor. The Nickel Samurai's costume would have been Mr. Matt Onguard's. Why would something of the defendant's be in the victim's room? Inside the guitar case of all places.
True, that is a little baffling. Mr. Wright, the court would like to hear your thoughts.
It was a spare costume. He just had it. Mr. Onguard did not take his costume off during the break period. In that case, the costume we're talking about was a spare one. What?
Then, are you saying that on the night of the murder, there were 2 Nickel Samurai costumes at the Gatewater Hotel?
Yes, that is what I'm saying.
And how do you explain the costume that was inside the guitar case?
It would mean that the victim himself had brought this spare to the ceremony on purpose.
But why? The victim, Mr. Kurita, was the Jamin Ninja. Why would he secretly bring the Nickel Samurai spare costume with him? What could be the reason behind such a peculiar act?
And therein lies the sticking point. I don't know. What are you mumbling to yourself about now? Have you just been rambling all this time without any sense of inner monologue? Huh? No, I just...
Mr. Wright, please explain yourself.
Did you know that some people don't even have, like, an inner monologue? Like, some people cannot think on the inside of their heads. They just do shit on, like, instinct and just, like, brain processing. You know what I mean? Like, you don't think, like, oh, shit, like, this fucking pair of headphones, I better go ahead and, like, put them on. Like, they don't think that. They just... You know what I mean? Like, there's no, like... Let me grab this. You know what I mean? Like, nothing at all. There's no words going on up here. They just fucking do it. They just do it. It's nuts. It's crazy. I don't know if we can explain this, though. I don't know if we can explain it at all. Well, I was supposed to present the conference ticket?
What is this?
On the night of the murder after the stage show, the Nickel Samurai was going to hold a special press conference.
A press conference?
Yeah, the Nickel Samurai was supposed to confess something at this conference. I heard about this as well. For once, you're not making something up, right? Asshole. But what struck me as strange was that Mr. Onguard himself said he had no idea what he was supposed to be... that he was supposed to be holding a press conference that night.
But how can that be?
The way I see it, that can mean only one thing. The conference was set up by none other than the victim, Mr. Juan Kurita himself.
The victim?
Yes, the spare Nickel Samurai costume was prepared for that very conference. Mr. Kurita was going to hold the press conference as the Nickel Samurai.
He was going to dress up as the Nickel Samurai and hold a conference? But why would the victim do such a thing?
That's something I don't quite know yet. However, what I am concerned with right now is what he intended to reveal at the conference. The Nickel Samurai was going to confess something. And by confess, I'd wager he was going to reveal something about himself. Which means that Juan Kurita, posing as the Nickel Samurai, was going to speak about Matt Onguard.
Yes, I guess that is what it would mean.
But if that were the case, that's not a confession, that's public disclosure.
Miss Andrews?
I can see why you're proud at what you do.
Pardon me?
Yes, as you say, the press conference was set up by Juan.
Oh, she built like a Polly Pocket, bro.
Miss Andrews, please offer us an explanation for this.
I was the one he asked to help set it up. And the person who prepared the second costume for him, that was also me.
You?
Horn had bet everything on the Jammin' Ninja this year, and if he lost the Grand Prix, he was going to make sure that Matt was going down with him. That's what he thought anyway.
He was going to ruin him, huh?
It looked like somehow Horn had his hands a powerful secret. That it would destroy Matt's acting career had it been revealed.
What?
And do you know what the secret of Mr. Onguard's is, Miss Andrews?
That's something only Horn knew. I don't know what it is.
Ah, I see.
I've probably been coming off quite suspicious to everyone, but that's to be expected. I've been trying to protect Matt after all.
Protect Matt Onguard?
And yet again, another strange bit of truth comes to light, it seems. Miss Andrews, if you could please tell us the truth about your behavior.
Yes, Your Honor, I understand.
I don't know what the fuck we're doing.
From the moment I saw the crime scene, I had a feeling that Matt would be the murderer. Matt had to kill Horn no matter what, and he didn't have an alibi for what he was doing at the time of the murder. My thoughts were confirmed by the evidence, of course, the button and the knife. But I'm Matt's manager, so I felt I had to protect him.
Fuck are you talking about?
This does account for everything.
Well, I am the logical type.
We're finally seeing her true self. She's more nervous than a scared rabbit.
If the defense can find no fault with this testimony, I am ready to make a ruling. Please keep in mind that as you cross-examine Mr. Wright...
Looks like somehow everything swung to the opposite end of the scale again. Jesus Christ. That means I have to put my weight into this and turn the logic upside down. I slept until like fucking like 2 p.m. It's like 5:30. I don't know why I'm so tired. I had like 13 hours of sleep. Okay, so I pressed the fourth statement. My thoughts were confirmed by the evidence. But then a new statement's added. You can hardly call the knife decisive evidence. The fingerprints on the knife could very well be a clever camouflage.
Then what about the button?
The button?
It's clear from the crime scene that the victim and his murderer fought. And during the fight, the killer ripped the button from the Jammin' Ninja's costume.
You're talking about this button, correct?
That button was found in the plates of Matt Hakama. Isn't that correct? I would think it makes it very decisive evidence.
Irk.
Looks like you were outfoxed again, Mr. Wright.
Anyway, the knife doesn't prove a thing. Please fix your testimony.
I can't stand the sight of a man who can't gracefully accept his defeat.
Thank goodness Mia can still look at me.
With an icy stare, yes.
God fucking damn, update your testimony, bitch. And now I go ahead and present autopsy report.
This is the victim's autopsy report. Clearly states the cause of death was strangulation by a scarf.
Strangulation?
The knife stab to the victim was done after the victim had already died.
And what does that mean?
Let's examine the evidence. This button has the victim's blood on it, which would mean that it was ripped off the costume when? After the knife was stabbed into the victim. Exactly, which means it's impossible this button was torn off during the victim's final struggle, because the victim was strangled to death in that fight. That's right, Miss Andrews. There's no way this button was ripped off during the struggle. This button was consciously pulled off the victim's already dead body.
Order! Order! What is the objection? What's the meaning of this right? So what if the button was torn off the body after the victim had already died? What does that change?
Let me ask you one simple question, Mr. Edgeworth. Why was the button torn off? What purpose did that serve?
What purpose?
We now know that this button was not torn off during the fight, so the murderer took the time and effort to purposely rip this from the victim's body. That would mean that the murderer had something in mind, wouldn't it?
Mr. Wright, does this mean you know what the murderer wanted to do?
Yeah, to fucking pin it on guard. There's only one logical reasoning for doing something like that. It was to pin the crime on Mr. Onguard. There's no way anyone would put a bloody button in their own pants. That's right, Mr. Onguard was set up. By the real killer, of course.
And the real murderer is... Well, Mr. Wright, who in the world's the real killer then?
Finally. I can't believe I managed to bring this trial all the way up to this point.
Phoenix, you can't let your guard down yet, not until the very end.
Who the
real killer, the person who planned to frame Mr. On-Guard, was Adrian Andrews. Shocking, I know. Miss Adrian Andrews, I choose you. Alright, you are Mr. Kurita's killer.
What?
Order! Mr. Wright, this is a very grave matter. Do you have any evidence that supports your charge?
Any evidence? All of the evidence points to Miss Andrews.
Well, preposterous. You can't stick any of that on me.
I can't, can I? Would you care to test me?
Then what about this knife?
The knife was used to stab the victim after he had already been strangled to death. It was used to throw suspicion onto Mr. On-Guard, naturally. A knife covered in the defendant's fingerprints could only be taken from his room. And the only one who had dinner with him and knew which knife to take was you.
Then, what about the button that was found in Mount Hakama?
This button was removed from the victim's body after he'd already died. The only people who could have done so were the person who found his body, or the killer. However, if Mr. On-Guard was the real killer, there's no way he would have put such incriminating evidence into his own Hakama. The only person who could have put this button into Mr. On-Guard's Hakama is the person who went to wake him up from his nap, which is you yet again, Miss Andrews.
I see. What about the empty guitar case?
That's also another piece of evidence that incriminates Miss Andrews. The costume was used to hide the real killer's identity as they fled the crime scene. Now, who could have known that there was such a costume inside the guitar case? It could have only been the person who prepared the costume for the victim. And that person is you, Miss Adrian Andrews. Objection! But Miss Andrews' fingerprints were nowhere to be found on the guitar case, and it was you who proved that she was not wearing gloves at that time.
That's right.
That's because she didn't intend on leaving any prints. If anyone had found she touched the case, they would have asked her why. So to avoid leaving any prints, she used a towel or something to open it. But the glass of tomato juice is a different story. Miss Andrews purposely left her fingerprints on the glass to show that yes, indeed, she was the classic dazed discoverer of the dead body. And to top it all off, there's this photo. A photo of the killer as they exited the scene of the crime. No reasonable person on Earth can believe that this Nickel Samurai is Mr. On-Guard. He'd be much too short for his own costume if it was him. Speaking of how tall people are, Miss Andrews, you're also kind of short in stature, are you not?
Please, stop!
Well, how about it, Miss Andrews? I've got her this time.
Miss Andrews?
I refuse to testify.
What was that?
There's a law. It says I can't be forced to testify about something if it can incriminate me.
Well, yes. You're absolutely correct, Miss Andrews. The law does provide us with a way to avoid self-incrimination by allowing a witness not to testify if the testimony can cause damage to themselves.
What? Pleading the fifth is not something most people would think to do on the spot. Actually, thinking back to yesterday, Mr. On-Guard's room. Adrian Andrews!
Yes?
Sing hard about what we have discussed, understood?
All right.
That's it. That's when Franziska planted this idea into her head. She must have told Miss Andrews not to testify if things looked bad.
You did a good job proving everything up to this point, Phoenix, but there's still one thing you haven't done.
Something I haven't done? What's wrong, Wright? You finished already? Run out of evidence?
Oh, what is so humorous, Mr. Edgeworth?
I'm sure you realize this as well, Your Honor. But everything the good lawyer here has proven up to this point is meaningless. What? Everything you've proven is circumstantial. Circumstantial? Yeah, circumstantial. You've yet to provide a single piece of definitive proof. Proof that Miss Andrews did in fact harbor a wish to murder Mr. Kurita.
Miss Andrews, did you want to kill Mr. Kurita?
I believe this may lead to me incriminating myself, so I will abstain from answering.
But Miss Andrews, if you do that, it would be the same as admitting your guilt, don't you think?
Maybe so and maybe not. There's nothing to prove it either way. Besides, you don't even know what crime I'd be guilty of due to my silence.
No, she's taking that defiant attitude again. But Mia, what do I do?
Somehow we've landed in the worst possible situation.
I think we've reached a certain conclusion at this point in time. Miss Andrews has refused to testify, and the defense's theory that she's the actual murderer has not been fully substantiated with solid definitive proof.
But that's not true.
In this situation, there's only one thing the court can do, and that is to declare a recess.
Recess?
I request that the prosecution and defense look further into this matter, and at tomorrow's trial...
Tomorrow? We don't have a tomorrow. If we don't get a not guilty verdict today, then... Hold it. Please wait, Your Honor. That's not necessary. The trial. Please continue the trial.
What are you sweating for? Your client's getting one more day to live, isn't he?
That's not it. This isn't about that. Edgeworth, I know you know who the real killer is. Please, let the trial continue. If I don't get the verdict, then Maya...
But it's impossible to continue as long as the witness refuses to testify. Now then, this court is...
Objection! It's not impossible for this trial to continue.
Mr. Edgeworth, what are you...
It's true Miss Andrews holds the right against self-incrimination. However, the topic of conversation was something unrelated to whatever she may be guilty of, and she has no right to withhold testimony.
Yes, that's very true, but...
Actually, there's one little thing that I'm curious about. Miss Andrews, when you found the victim's dead body, you poured yourself a glass of juice.
Yes, and...
I can't help but think how unnatural that is. Usually when one finds a body, they're shaken up, not stirring a glass of juice.
So my actions were unusual, but I've already...
Before you speak, I want to state that if you have a reason behind your actions, I'd like you to testify to that effect.
Testify?
Your Honor, I'd like to request that the witness testify again as to what happened when she first discovered the victim's body. Whatever we find out in this testimony should in no way implicate the witness.
I don't know what it is, I don't know what it is about Edgeworth today, but I can't get a good read off him. Is he friend or foe? I just don't know.
The court acknowledges the prosecution's request. Miss Andrews, if you please.
Okay, so I gotta present the crime photo against the 4th or 5th.
That glass of juice, I didn't really pour it for myself. I was surprised when I walked into the room and saw it in that messy state. And one, he was sitting slumped over and tired looking in the corner. When I saw him sitting like that, the thought that he was dead didn't cross my mind. To be honest, I thought he had just fainted or something, so I went to pour him some juice. When I realized he was dead, that's when I knocked the flower vase over.
So that means the knife couldn't have possibly fucking been in there. The knife couldn't have possibly been in there because she would have seen it fucking sticking out of him. So on the 4th or 5th. Okay, so fucking... Not that photo. That photo. So you honestly didn't think he was dead when you found him?
No, not at all.
Even though this is what you saw when you discovered the body?
What is the meaning of this?
Isn't it obvious, Your Honor? There's a knife sticking straight out of Mr. Kurita's chest! Anyone who would have saw this scene would have immediately thought that there was a dead man.
That's, well, you see...
I doubt a single person in the world would mistake this for someone who fainted, and then so nonchalantly go pour something to drink.
Your point is...
Miss Andrews, your testimony just now was all one giant lie! And your lie has proven one thing very clearly, that you're the real killer!
It looks like the defense has somehow brought the ugly truth to light. The defendant, Mr. Matt Ongard, is not guilty after all.
But that's impossible! You're wrong!
Miss Andrews, try to have some composure.
It wasn't me, I tell you! It was Mark, I swear! He's the one who killed Juan!
But you were the one who refused to testify, and your reason for not doing so was you might end up incriminating yourself.
That's because...
Miss Andrews, I will give you one last chance. What exactly are you hiding that might incriminate you?
I refuse to testify!
Then there's no need for this court to continue any further. Mr. Matt Onguard's innocence has been clearly demonstrated.
Is it over? Have we found the truth at last?
What's wrong, Phoenix?
Usually the real killer confesses his or her guilt. And now that I think about it, this is the first time someone hasn't.
Now then, I would like to hand down my verdict for Mr. Matt Onguard.
Objection! Your Honor, the prosecution feels that it would be premature to pass down a verdict at this time.
What?
The reason's quite simple. This witness has yet to speak the absolute real truth. I mean, fair enough. The accurate fucking statement.
The absolute real truth? What are you?
Witness, don't you understand yet? I don't know who planted this silly idea in your head, but as long as you protect yourself through silence, Matt Onguard will go free, and in his place, you will become the guilty party.
That's a lie! I don't believe you!
What?
I was told if I spoke, then it would be all over, and Matt would never be declared guilty.
What in the world is she talking about? Has she lost it?
I can't speak about it. I'm too scared.
It's Franziska von Karma.
Huh?
Don't you remember, Phoenix? Miss Andrews lives by gripping tightly onto the words of another, because she doesn't have the strength to believe in herself.
Then, right now, Miss Andrews is...
Yesterday, she was tossed a lifesaver by Miss von Karma.
Don't say a word, no matter what happens. If you do, Matt Onguard will be acquitted. And Miss Andrews...
Miss Andrews undyingly believes in those words right now, and is clinging onto them.
Then what should we do? This is the first time I've come across anything like this. Miss Andrews has to be the killer, right? All we have to do now is get our not guilty. It's the only priority.
It wasn't me, I'm begging you. Please don't kill me. I didn't kill Juan. Help. Please, someone. Help me.
Mr. Wright!
Yes, Your Honor.
The court can't continue like this. Therefore, I'd like to hear what you intend to do.
What I intend to do? What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to say? Right. I suggest you think very carefully about this. Think about what this witness did and what she did not do. And think about who's the real mastermind behind this crime. Who's the real mastermind? Isn't it obvious? There's no one else it could be except the woman crying over there, right? Come now! What will you do? What kind of man are you, Mr. Phoenix Wright? I'm a man's man. And I don't feel good about this verdict until I get all the truth out. I'd have to win a complete acquittal today. There's no way around that. But I can't bring myself to do it like this. Not when she's making a face like that. I'll never hurt a poor innocent maiden. Miss Andrews, I'd like to know what you're really hiding.
Mr. Wright, are you sure you know what you're doing?
Sir, Mr. Onguard would get an acquittal, but in his place you'd be found guilty. Is this how you really want this trial to end?
Be quiet. How dare you? You're trying to trick me.
That's enough! I commend you for trying, Mr. Edgeworth. However, it's clear the defense's theory is the truth.
You're wrong.
What a shame. I'd hoped things wouldn't come to this, however.
What is it, Mr. Edgeworth?
Miss Andrews, since you absolutely refuse to testify, it falls on my shoulders to disclose this to the court.
Stop!
Mr. Edgeworth!
This witness, how shall I put this? She has an illness.
What?
And because of this illness, she's tried to commit suicide in the past.
Stop! Please stop!
No matter how much you want to hide it, it's no use. I have the evidence right here. That's the second part of the suicide report. The attempted suicide report. What will you do now, witness? You know what I'm about to do, don't you? I will now reveal to the court the true nature of the pitiful woman known as Adrian Andrews. The secret of her dependent nature. Having other people know about it scares her more than anything else in the world.
Please, please stop! I beg you, if people find out! If people find out,
If you're gonna say you would choose death, that's of no concern to me. Edgeworth, how can you be so cold? However, before you die, I'll pull the truth from your still breathing lips, no matter what I have to do. So, will you tell the court yourself or shall I? Either's fine with me.
I'll talk, but please help me.
Damn.
Nothing matters anymore.
Damn. Damn! You think I'm ending the episode here? Hell no, keep it rolling, keep it rolling.
When I first saw him, I really thought he'd fainted, honest. When I realized he was dead, that was when I formulated my plan. Once I made sure there was no one in the hallway, I made a dash back to Matt's room. And then I stabbed Warren's dead body with the knife and ripped off the button. Just when I finished and was returning to Matt's room, I had a bit of an inconvenience. And that's why I ended up using the nickel samurai costume.
Stab the body with the knife? But why would you do that?
Isn't it obvious? To pin the blame on a certain person. A certain cowardly man.
What do you mean by all of this?
It might take this court a little while to understand, but this is the truth. The real killer is
The real killer is Matt. That scumbag of a man. I'll never forgive him. He's trying to escape his guilt again, just like last time.
So Miss Andrews stabbed the victim, Juan Corrida, in the chest with a knife. However, she didn't do it with murder in mind. She did it with the intent of framing Matt Engarde for murder. And this is her crime. Damn. What? How is this possible? I mean, wasn't Miss Andrews supposed to be the real murderer?
Mr. Wright, please get over your shock and commence the cross-examination.
I know this is going to be long as hell. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. Okay, so I gotta press every single... honestly, I'm not even gonna read everything. I'm just gonna press it for now. You know what I mean? Just to get through it. Because I don't need to know the plan. We get the idea. She did it because she knew that he killed him. I don't need to read all this part. Yeah, Matt was napping. Which doesn't make any fucking sense how he was fucking napping. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't really add up. An inconvenience. There was a woman standing ready in the hallway. Stinkus McDinkus. Okay. I really hope I can finish this game before November ends naturally.
I think we've heard enough. So after that, you went to Mr. Engarde's room and planted the button.
Into Matt's Hakama, yes. After that, I folded up the costume I was wearing and put it into a bag. Then I snuck it out of the hotel and got rid of it.
My word, what does all this mean?
Mr. Edgeworth, is it? The real criminal is Matt Engarde. Yesterday, that woman prosecutor sat me down for a talk.
Franziska, huh? Yo, why is she looking at... I don't like her.
She said that I should, under no circumstances, confess to what I had done. And if I just kept quiet, then Matt would be found guilty for sure. I had no choice but to believe in her words.
What this witness has done is clearly unlawful. However, as long as her testimony stands, we can be certain she's not the real killer.
Wait, Your Honor. The defense still... Right. It's pointless. At this point in time, it's not possible to indict Miss Andrews on anything.
Yes, exactly. There isn't a single piece of evidence that points to her as the murderer. The cross-examination of the witness is over, And so is today's trial. You couldn't establish the witness was the culprit. Please let it go, Mr. Wright.
But...
Mr. Edgeworth, please place Miss Andrews under arrest for further questioning.
Understood, Your Honor. The prosecution will arrange for her detention immediately.
That is all. Court is adjourned for today.
Not Monkey. She's gonna die. What about our little monkey? Little Maya Fey? Today's trial. It's over. And I didn't win an acquittal. Witness, would you mind if I asked you something? Edgeworth,
What is it?
before you leave court today, I wondered if I might look at one thing. The card in your hand. It's had my interest for quite some time now. What exactly is it?
Oh, this. Mr. Wright also asked about this. Although I didn't remember at the time you asked me about it, Mr. Wright, I remember just now. I found this in the room on that day.
The room? That day?
Yes. I found this card when I discovered Juan's body. It was lying there right next to him.
You found that card next to the victim's body?
I suppose I might have unconsciously slipped it into my pocket. But it's not as if this card has any relevance to Juan's murder, right?
Yeah, I guess not, but it's still a strange card if you ask me. But as far as a clue to this case, I don't see why... Hold it! Witness! That card! Give it to me! Hurry! Edgeworth? Do you have any idea what you've you inadvertently done? This... I can't believe you hid this from me all this time!
Oh, I didn't mean to!
What is all of this about? Never seen Edgeworth so emotional before. The card, what in the world is it, and what does it mean? To be continued. Well, I guess we cleared this up in one episode. So let me go ahead and, oh my god, I already see some crazy shit going on. Let me go ahead and save the game. I'm gonna end this episode for now, and in the next episode, we will do the investigation. I doubt I'll get through it all. It might be 2 episodes. We'll see. But I'm gonna get the fuck up out of here. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye!